Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Talking Packers with Steve. This is your host, Steve, obviously. Today, I'm going to be going over everything that happened in week two. Not as much as I did last time. I'm going to try something a little bit different. Um, Not saying I got bad reviews from the last episode, but as I always say, I try to improve. So this is, I guess, one way a little bit to improve besides having the bells and whistles that I talked about with a background music and other stuff. But anyways, um, so I will talk a little bit of week two, just a general overview, not game by game like I did last week. And let me know in the comments if you liked the format of last week compared to this week or this week over last week, whatever. Hit that subscribe button. If you're not subscribed, smash the like button if you do enjoy it. And also, I guess here we go. The biggest thing that I took from week two, in my opinion, and no disrespect to these teams I'm going to talk about, but in all honesty, let's just be real here and say that the bottom feeders of the NFL, meaning the teams that over the years have consistently shown that they are not playoff material. And not because of less of talent, but just because of the talent, coaching, the rosters, their schedules each year, timing. They're just not breaking that mold. They're not reaching the levels that I'm sure they think that they could reach if given the right players, if given the right coaching staff, the talent. If everything was a perfect utopia in their worlds, they would be a lot better than they would have been in the past couple of years. And that's the Cleveland Browns, the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Oakland Raiders, excuse me, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And guess what, people? In week two, all four of those franchises got their first win. All four of them in 1 week got their win. And obviously, for people who do pick'em leagues, as in pick'em games, each week as I do, along with fantasy football, um, kind of messed you up there with that happening. But in the real world thinking, it's good that they got their first win. It's good that they won it all, and it shows that there is a parity in the NFL. That's why they say that's why they play the games. That's why they play the games, as Herm Edwards. Or no, it wasn't Herm Edwards. It was somebody else that famously said that in a speech. I think it was Jim Mora of the Colts. Oh yeah, play to win the game was Herm Edwards when he was coach of the Jets. I apologize, a little brain fart there. But anyways, you get my point. They were the bottom feeders of their divisions, the bottom feeders of the NFL, consistently getting top 10, top 5, top 10 overall draft picks each and every year. But I think with this first win, even being just 1 week and one win, in my opinion, shows that they can be what they want to be. Just think of it if you are a WWE fan along with an NFL fan. Just think of it for a WWE superstar that's in the mid card. And if given the right storylines by the writers, if WWE had a little bit more faith in them, that sort of stuff, then, given the ball and maybe better situations and storylines, like I said, they would be able to go to the main event and show what they're made of. Well, for these NFL teams, in their own way and in a different way, in the NFL way, if things just gone right, they would be better. And I think this year, it's going to show that these teams are going to be improving. I think the Raiders and the Buccaneers specifically, I think, are going to be two teams that are going to quote unquote shock the world. To be quite honest, from what I got from the offseason, and as those who have been watching and listening to Talking Packers with Steve from Blog Talk Radio to now to these episodes here on YouTube, that I always respect their teams. I respect all teams, but those two teams specifically, that I thought that if they just got the right parts, a few players away, that they can make a run in their said divisions and in their said conferences, NFC and AFC. I think this year Jameis Winston with the Buccaneers, Austin Jenkins, tight end, and Mike Evans, that whole crap in the offense. Their defense already was good. And then in Oakland, you have Derek Carr, second year. Amari Cooper, you drafted in the draft, obviously. And again, another solid defense. Defense wins championships, right? That's what everybody says. Defense wins championships. Well, for those two teams, I'm not saying they're going to be Super Bowl champions or in the Super Bowl. I'm just saying that those two teams, out of the four teams I mentioned that got their first win in week 2, are, in my opinion, the most likely to have a good season, not to have just 2-win seasons, to be over 500, make the playoffs, maybe even make noise in the playoffs, have an impact. In my opinion, to be quite honest, as a fan, even though, yes, I'm a Green Bay Packers shareholder, and I have this podcast talking about the Packers. That's what it's called, Talking Packers with Steve. I represent the Packers out of all the podcasters on YouTube and other mediums. But in my thinking, I would like to see all 4 of those teams in the playoffs. Jacksonville, Oakland, Cleveland, and Tampa Bay. So you'd have 3 AFC, 1 NFC, obviously, out of those 4. I'd like to see all of them in the playoffs. Heck, I would like to see half and half, 2 of them having home games, 2 of them having away games. However, it'd just be nice to see those teams finally get to a point where their franchises, and for those fan bases, even more so than just the teams themselves. In my thinking of this is for their fan bases to have that belief in their team again, true belief. So yes, it's just 1 win, yes, it's just 1 week, but I think it showed something more in general as an outlier for their franchises, and hopefully it is a step up. Hopefully they can maybe string a couple of wins, maybe, like I said, have a great season, be in a better position for the NFL draft next year, and like I said, maybe even making the playoffs. So that was the biggest thing I got from week 2, all those upsets. And speaking of another upset, you got the Jets, who went on the road to Indianapolis to face the Colts, and just kicked their butts, to put it nicely. And that was unexpected. When I did my pick'ems, I picked the Colts. That they'd be able to bounce back, get the win over a Jets team that I think was overhyped. And to be quite honest, out of all the 2-0 teams, and I even tweeted this out at talking_Packers, out of all the 2-0 teams, I think the Jets are the most likely to miss the playoffs. New York Jets, out of the 2-0 teams, are the most likely to miss the playoffs. And out of the 0-2 teams, the Saints are the least likely to make the playoffs, in my opinion. So that's just how I see it now. And, going into week 3, obviously now I'm going to go into each and every game. The Packers, it was nice to see them getting that revenge on the Seahawks. But then again, more than just revenge, it was actually something in a bigger picture of beating the Seattle Seahawks on Sunday Night Football on NBC. We kind of solidified the fact that no matter what happens, unless, the Seahawks outright beat us in the records at the end of the year, obviously. But if we're tied, that we're going to have the home field advantage throughout the NFC playoffs. And that's great. But that still doesn't mean we can rest on that rest on that notion. Obviously our team knows that, and now we have to, get up for the next game. And our next game being Monday night against a very good Kansas City Chiefs team, a team that I, at least, am not sleeping on, and thinking that we'll just roll over them and destroy them. No. You'll find out when I give my predictions and scores for that game that I think it's going to be much closer than even some of my fellow Packer fans out there, Packer Nation, that, we all agree that the Packers are going to win, yes. But there's a high majority of us that think it's going to be a blowout, and I don't. In my opinion, I think it's going to be a lot closer. And to be quite honest, It's gonna be one of those nail-biting games. Now, comparatively, do I enjoy watching a nail-biter comparative to watching a blowout? No. In my personal opinion, again, I actually enjoy watching blowouts when watching my Packers. Obviously, if they're on the winning end and losing end, but still, watching a blowout win than a nail-biting win for the Green Bay Packers. It's just more comfortable, relaxing, especially if it's a Packer party and I have people over, guests. Can be more. Um, I wasn't gonna say inclusive, but be able to talk more, whatever. Otherwise, if it's a nail biter, everybody's focusing on the game and everything. Obviously with everything, there's good and bad, but to me, I think it's more enjoyable for me to watch a blowout win for the Packers than a nail biting win for the Packers because of that fact. You just feel more relaxed, more. It's just more enjoyable, and that's just me. I know I'm sure there's people that agree with me, and there's people that strongly disagree with me. Whether you're a Packer fan or a Browns fan or a Colts fan or like, excuse me, Big Hugh of Team Boy TV, Carolina Panther fan. I don't know if he agrees or disagrees, but maybe he likes it when it's more of a nail-biting win for his Carolina Panthers than a blowout win for his Carolina Panthers. So, but again, that's just me for my team here in Green Bay, Wisconsin, the Green Bay Packers. So, anyways, with all that said, I'm going to go into Week 3, and then after I give my scores and predictions, I might talk a little bit other NFL news that's on my mind for the Packers and other things. So I'm going to do what I do, and Washington Redskins against the New York Giants. Now that game already happened, but I did predict the Giants were going to win. I actually predicted it to be closer of a game and a closer score. My prediction was 21-17 when I did the prediction on a different podcast off air. So it definitely wasn't official, but that's what I was thinking. So the Giants did win. They actually won 32-21 on Thursday Night Football on CBS and NFL Network, so that's kind of cool. I like that they decided to put it both on CBS and NFL Network for half the season, because for people like me that don't have the money yet and can't afford, or even maybe there's people out there that don't want it, the NFL Network. But for me, it's the not being able to afford it. But being able to at least see half of the Thursday night schedule for Thursday Night Football. Now, sometimes, when it's specifically talking about my team, the Packers, sometimes I'm lucky and the Packers are on Thursday Night Football in the first half and I can see it, like last season, I believe. And then obviously there's going to be years when it's going to be on the other half and I'll miss it because it's on the NFL Network. Or I'll have to go over to somebody's house or find out a way. I mean, there's always a will and way, but I'm just saying, in general, I like that they also are showing it on CBS for people that can't afford the network, the NFL Network, or those that don't want it are still able to see half of those games that are for the NFL Network. So I just wanted to get that out of the way too. Atlanta Falcons at the Dallas Cowboys. No Tony Romo, no Dez Bryant, no chance. No chance in heck, in my opinion, that they're going to beat the Atlanta Falcons with their depleted roster as it's constructed at this point. To be quite honest, with Tony Romo being out 6 to 8 weeks, maybe even I've been hearing, whether it's in the papers, on TV, online, whatever, that it could even be 10 to 12 weeks before Tony Romo comes back. Dez Bryant looks closer, 6 to 8 weeks, but they're going to have a tough stretch and a long road ahead for the Dallas Cowboys. And I thought already with the injury of Dez Bryant and him being out as long as he was going to be out, that they were going to struggle. That they were going to have a very hard chance to win their division, let alone getting a wild card spot. And now on top of that, Tony Romo is out. It's almost 0 to none, in my opinion, that they're going to be making the playoffs in any way, in either way, wild card or division winner. I don't see that happening, in my opinion. So, but specifically for this game, I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons defeating the Cowboys, getting the game on the road, a game that I think the Falcons need. I mean, I know it might be too early to think that, but just like anything, if you lose here, especially for the 0-2 teams in the schedule here for Week 3, you lose here, and then for players, for people, as much as they might not say it to the media, but your mind wanders. As in, you keep thinking to the season, okay, if we fall 0-4, looking to the next game, then it snowballs into thinking of, oh, now, you know, how are we going to turn this around? Will we turn this around? And there's infighting, and then, the season's already down the tubes. So, as much as people don't want to say that week 3 games matter, week 3 games matter. And that's why I said for the topic of this episode, and obviously the topic of this video when it's on YouTube, week 3 will show a lot about a lot of these NFL teams, and especially the NFL teams that are 0-2, even more so the ones that are 2-0, in my opinion, because it will show if they're still hungry, they still have that fire, they still feel that this season is worth anything. Meaning that if they do go down and become 0-3, and where their mindset will be at that time. So week 3, week 4 are going to be telling for the whole entire season for all the teams, but more so, in my opinion, for the ones that are still winless, especially for the ones that are still winless. That's fact, Jack. So next game, I got Stephen A's Indianapolis Colts. Stephen Ajame, his Indianapolis Colts, and that's what I usually do when I do predictions each week. If I know somebody that's a fan of a team, or whether it's a fellow podcaster or whatever, I give them a shout out, or their show a shout out. So if you're a fan of any of the 32 NFL teams, let me know in the comments, and then moving forward, I'll either give you or a couple people a shout out when I predict your team's game. But anyway, Stephen A. Ajame's Indianapolis Colts going to Tennessee, facing the Tennessee Titans. A team that's helter-skelter in their own right, the Titans. One week they look like they're just going to be kicking butt and taking names, and next week showing that Marcus Mariota really is a rookie and not the second coming of John Elway. So, that's just how it's supposed to be, and it's going to be for any NFL rookie quarterback. More so on the end of it being a messy year. The Colts being 0-2, I don't know what's up with that. Especially with everything that people have been saying going into the season, them supposed to be dominating the AFC. Some people predicting them to win the Super Bowl, let alone going to the 50th anniversary Super Bowl, Super Bowl 50. But in my prediction, I didn't have the Colts going to the Super Bowl. I had the Patriots versus the Packers in a Super Bowl 31 rematch. But I thought the Colts would at least get as far as AFC Conference Championship. No, divisional championship game. At least winning one playoff game. Or maybe even getting a bye. I don't remember. But it's just the division that they're in. Even though they're 0-2, and their division that they have dominated for a while, leads to believe that no matter what happens with them going on to the season, if they turn around at all, that they still have a pretty good chance to lock it in and get and win that division again. Now, I think though starting 0-2 doesn't help, and I think actually with the emergence of some other with the Houston Texans on their heels, it might be a little bit harder. They might actually have to earn. Excuse me. They actually have to earn winning this division this year, unlike other years, because it'll be closer and more of a dogfight, or more of a fight, period, to win that division. But I still think they're going to get it. But it has to start here, and it has to start against the Tennessee Titans. For everything we've said about the Colts and everything we've said about especially their defense, to go up against a rookie quarterback like Marcus Mariota and quote-unquote wet the bed again and go 0-3, losing to the Titans, and however you lose to the Titans, then we talk about serious things, and they have some issues that they're going to have to need to deal with if they go 0-3, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'm going to go with the Indianapolis Colts defeating the Tennessee Titans on the road, 21-10. Next game, battle of those 4 teams I talked about when starting the show. The 4, what I call former bottom feeders of the NFL. The Oakland Raiders, of Raider Central's Oakland Raiders. He has a podcast here on YouTube, Raider Central. And Jay of Talking WWE with Jay Wrestling Podcast is Cleveland Browns. The Raiders versus the Browns, noon game, obviously. Battle of those former bottom feeders. And I think the best team out of those two teams is going to be the Oakland Raiders. I just see more promise in the Raiders than I do the Browns. But as I said before, it would be nice to see all four of those teams, Raiders, Browns, Jaguars, and Buccaneers, all four of them, to make the playoffs this year or some year. That'd be awesome to me, even as a Packer fan and just watching from afar. That would be cool. But anyways, I digress on that. But I do think the Raiders are going to be better than the Browns, not just this year, but just in general. I think with Reggie McKenzie, the coaching staff, Jack Del Rio was a great pickup to hire as the head coach of Oakland. You got Derek Carr, second year, and moving forward. I'm going to go with Oakland winning on the road here against Cleveland. It's going to be a very close game. I'm going to go 24-21, Oakland winning it. Last second field goal or something like to that extent. 24-21, Oakland over Cleveland. In Cleveland. Next game, Jacksonville Jaguars at the New England Patriots. Now, as much as I want to see the Jaguars improve, and they got their first win, and that's great, and I think their season here this year is going to be better than most believe, because I believe they're going to get more than 6 wins, maybe even 8-8 and whatever, and that's a vast improvement for that team. That's something. You gotta crawl before you walk before you run before you sprint. So for the Jaguars here, this is their crawling phase, and getting better records each and every year, building upon what they have, building through the draft and free agency. And I think so far what they did in this last offseason here, going into the 2015 season, was a good start in my opinion. But here against the New England Patriots, I'm sorry, Jaguars fans, but no chance. No chance in heck here to beat the Patriots, especially the Patriots of 2015. After everything that happened with Spygate, and I'm sure I'm going to bring this up each week. I already apologize for that, but it's just not the right year to mess with the Patriots. Yes, they defeated the NFL, and Tom Brady got his suspension overturned, and that will be dealt with because the NFL is appealing, but that won't be dealt with until after the season's already over and we're going into the next off season. So for this season, the Patriots are just gonna run through teams, run through the NFL, and as the running joke was, and I think I heard some people already say it on ESPN or other things, on other networks, that the Patriots are gonna be on a mission just to deflate the whole league. And just, maybe have another undefeated year. Because if my mind serves me correctly, and I think it does, the last time the New England Patriots went undefeated, yes, they lost in the Super Bowl. That is true. Dang true. But they went undefeated after, or the season after Spygate. And that situation and issue, so to speak. So here, after Deflategate, after the ruling being on their favor for Tom Brady and everything, even though they got penalties with the team being fined and losing draft picks for the 2016 NFL Draft. Like I said, this is the year of the Patriots, and anybody that they face, whether division game, out of division, they're going to be a team wreck with. So if you have a New England Patriot on your fantasy football team, a starter, keep them as your starter for as long as you can. Obviously, you'll have to switch them off when they have their bye week, but besides that, they should not even be thought about to be replaced, no matter what your backup player matchup might be, in my opinion. And especially in this game against Jacksonville, your defense been not good enough. I'm gonna go with Tom Brady and the New England Patriots to get the win here, 35-10 at home. Okay, so we got the New Orleans Saints against aforementioned Big Q of Team Boy TV's Carolina Panthers in Carolina. Saints, like I said before, 0-2, and I think the Saints are the least likely of the 0-2 teams to make the playoffs. I think the Panthers have it here knocked down at home. I'm going to go with the Carolina Panthers 17-7 over the Saints. Next up, what I think should be, will be, and definitely can be, game of the week. Philadelphia Eagles versus the New York Jets. 0-2, 2-0. Now, when I looked at the schedule before the season started and I saw this game, I was thinking maybe the Eagles would start off 2-0 and the Jets would be 0-2. I thought it was going to be the reverse than what it is. But as it is, and as the season has started, there are two teams going in completely different directions. One's going this way, one's going that way, and it's not the teams that you think. It's the Eagles are going backwards, the Jets are going forward. The Jets are more improved, and even with how good they did in the draft, and I even said when I previewed it, I still didn't think that they did enough to warrant them being 2-0. Like, I didn't think that just adding Darrelle Revis and with their draft picks and whatever, there would be enough to make any noise during the season. But obviously, I was wrong, and they're doing well. And Ryan Fitzpatrick, I got to give this guy some kudos. Who is now going to be the starting quarterback of the New York Jets for the entire season, even when Geno Smith is going to be healthy and able. Head coach said that they're going to go with Ryan for the whole year, and I commend him. If I was the head coach of the Jets in this position, I would have done the same thing. Why fix something that's not broken? I mean, seriously, isn't that like isn't that in itself like a golden rule? Why fix something that's not broken? And the Jets being on a roll, relying maybe heavily on their defense, but Ryan Fitzpatrick's still doing well. And I'm happy for Ryan. He kind of had his up and down, whether it was in Tennessee or Houston and Buffalo, even wherever that now he found a place here with the Jets and succeeding, and not just succeeding because of the defense, but succeeding in his own right, in his stats and his play. So I commend him and wanted to give him props there too. So there you go. I mean, as much as the Jets usually are the quote-unquote laughing stock of the NFL in a different way, because the Jets, like even some TV shows making fun of the Jets, whether it's futuristic episodes. I think there was one episode in one TV show being in like the year 2050, and then the person asking, "Oh, how are the Jets this year?" And the person replies, "They suck," and they go, "Oh, that's a shock." Those Jets being a laughing stock in that way, and not this year. Not this year in the slightest, because I'm going to predict them here going to be 3-0. I have the Jets defeating the Philadelphia Eagles, and if the Eagles don't get stuff fixed, and if they don't make the playoffs at all, I'm going to make a prediction right here, maybe a bold prediction of the season. But if they don't make the playoffs, or if they don't right this ship as fast as they can, especially if they go 0-4, Chip Kelly is going to be out of a job. He's either going to be out of a job by week 8 or on that Black Monday, as they call it, after the end of week 17, after the end of their season, if they don't make the playoffs. That's just, like I said, that's just my opinion. But I think that the way things are going for the Eagles, for everything that Chip Kelly and all his decisions he made to let go of stars that he thought wouldn't cut it in his system, that he just didn't like either personally or professionally, because he thought he knew everything, like he's the super genius, and they fall flat on their face as a franchise this season, not just record-wise, but playing-wise. I think the Philadelphia Eagles aren't going to let him go, whether it's mid-season or at the end of the season. But anyways, for my prediction, like I said, I'm going to go with the Jets over the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to go 28-17 Jets over the Philadelphia Eagles. Now I got Danny Duncan of We the Kings, a band, and he's on YouTube with the DLV and vlogging podcast. His Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the Houston Texans on the road. Like I said, the Texans are improving. So these are like two teams that, like I said, are more on the up and up. They're doing better. Tampa Bay got their first win last week. Maybe trying to go on a roll, running to a Houston team that's trying to find their identity this season. I mean, I know they have one of the best players in the NFL, J.J. Watt, but still, as a team, They're trying to find their niche. So this one's actually going to be a pretty interesting one. Not game of the week, obviously, as I said before, but this is definitely going to be a game that I definitely will be keeping my eyeballs on and be interested. I mean, that's the good thing about my team playing on Monday night. Watching all these Sunday games, maybe without having um, any vested interest as in team loyalty, but still being interested, obviously, as an NFL fan. I'm going to actually go with the Houston Texans on the road, getting a close victory over Tampa Bay. I'm going to go 21-17. Houston getting the win at home, especially with a game like this. I usually tend to side more on the home team, but I wouldn't be surprised if Tampa Bay would get the win. Next game, we got the San Diego Chargers heading to Minneapolis to face the Minnesota Vikings, our division rivals. I think the Vikings are going to get a win here. Like I said, an improving team, a team that has the players in place to make a run this season to actually be competitive with the Green Bay Packers, with our Packers here, or my Packers, for the division. I'm going to go with the Vikings over the Chargers. I'm going to go low scoring game. 17-10, Vikings over the Chargers. The final noon game here on the schedule, Pittsburgh Steelers versus the St. Louis Rams at St. Louis. Again, two teams equally matched. It's going to be a good game. Le'Veon Bell's coming back off suspension, so we'll see where he'll fit into the team. I mean, I know it's only week 3, but within a team, if things are gelling with someone, you don't really want to mix it up as much. As I said with the Jets in the quarterback situation, it was best for them to go with Ryan over Geno. But here with Le'Veon Bell, it's a better choice to have him come back in the fold now that he's off suspension. And Todd Gurley might be able to start for the first time with the St. Louis Rams. He's, at least from the last thing I heard, reported that he's going to be a game-time decision. But with all that, I'm going to go with the St. Louis Rams over the Pittsburgh Steelers, 28-21. Like I said, I just think the Rams being at home across the crowd, I think they're going to be able to get the job done. 49ers at the Arizona Cardinals. Arizona Cardinals looking much better than I thought they would. I mean, I thought they were going to be good, but as well as they've shown to be so far this season after only 2 weeks. The 49ers, again, starting off hot, and then where do they go? I'm going to go with the Arizona Cardinals over the San Francisco 49ers. I'm going to go 35-17, Arizona over San Francisco. Buffalo Bills at Miami Dolphins. I'm going to go Bills over Dolphins, 21-10. Chicago Bears at Seattle Seahawks. I guess Jay Cutler won't be playing in that game. Alshon Jeffrey, I think I even heard, is going to be out for the game. So I'm going to go with the Seahawks getting the win over Chicago, 38-13. Seattle over Chicago. And then Sunday Night Football on NBC, you have the Denver Broncos, Peyton Manning and the Denver Broncos, and Get With It Sports, excuse me, Glass of Get With It Sports, is Denver Broncos on the road going against the Detroit Lions. I got the Lions beating the Broncos here. I'm going to go with Detroit over Denver, 21-10. One game I actually forgot to predict, as I just thought about it. Cincinnati Bengals up against JB's. JB, he's also a part of the team of Team Boy TV Live Wednesday episodes on YouTube. His Baltimore Ravens, Cincinnati Bengals at Ravens. I'm going to go with the Ravens, 28-13. Now to Monday Night Football, the Kansas City Chiefs against my Green Bay Packers. First, I'll just do my score prediction. I'm going to go 21-17. 17 Packers, 21-17 Packers over the Chiefs. Like I said, like I said before, I just think this game is going to be more of a nail biter than most people think. Like I said, I respect the fellow Packer Nation and fellow Packer fans that think we're going to win on a blowout. Like I said, I enjoy Packer blowout wins than nail biting wins, but with the excuse me, I apologize. With the Chiefs, and just how they play, and I just maybe it's just I respect Alex Smith more than um, the NFL universe or NFL fans out there do, with all the issues he's had in the past. But I think he'll show up here against Green Bay, against our team. Our defense isn't end all be all either. We have our holes and our issues that still need to be addressed, and I think he'll be able to do well. So, like I said, that's why I went with 21-17 with that game as well. But yeah, those are my predictions. Like I said, week 3 is going to be telling for a lot of NFL teams, especially those 0-2, show what they're made of. Show that they still have that hunger and that fight to put a good game together, to get not just get a win, but to show that your team is at least trying to give and going forward into the season with a positive attitude. Because like I said, it's week 3, and if you panic already in week 3, then you're almost halfway defeated for the season. And you don't want to be a team already thinking about next season when it's only week 4 or 5. But it is what it is. And for all those 0-2 teams, I know some of them, like I said, I gave them a win here in my predictions for week 3. If you're 0-2, if your team is 0-2 and they go to 0-3, especially Philadelphia, changes will be made sooner rather than later. But thank you to everybody that has been watching live. A reminder for those who watch live next week or any time in the future, welcome to join the show, join the chat. I usually tweet out the link to get into the Google Hangout of this episode, so we can talk one-on-one, so it's not just my voice you're hearing for 10 to 40 minutes or however long an episode goes. That I have fellow fans, not just Packer fans, but NFL fans, and they go over the whole entire schedule of the next week and with the predictions and everything. We can talk about your teams or something specifically. You're welcome to tweet me at talking_Packers and let me know your thoughts on my predictions. And obviously leave comments in the comment section below. Subscribe if you're not subscribed, and like the video, and also share it to get the word of mouth out for this show that I do think with the support, with everything that I might need, can become something greater than it is right now. So again, thank you for those who are watching live and those that will be watching later. Have a great day, have a great week, and enjoy week 3 of the NFL season, cheering on your team respectively. And take care.